What's up, everybody? This is Brian Knows Movies, back for another episode of See It, a show about movies and stuff. This is our 22nd episode, and it's all about Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. That's right, I got a chance to see it last night, and it blew me away, so much so that I felt like I just needed to really try to dive into this movie as much as possible without giving any spoilers whatsoever. So I probably didn't think that through too well before I made this main topic, but I'm going to do my best to try to just explain why everyone needs to go see this movie. Once again, thank everybody I think joined. Please feel free to share in comments what you like about Mission Impossible films or just anything in general. I see Michael Davis is already clowning me because I'm late. I'm always a couple of minutes late. I'm sorry, guys. I have to do better with that. So that's definitely my bad. But hey, we're here now. We're live. We're going. Good to go. We're going to talk, of course, about the box office, some things that are happening around Hollywood as well. And then there's a couple of trailers that just dropped. Napoleon and Wonka. I have avoided those trailers just so I can watch it for the first time with you guys. I have no idea what we're in for either one of those films, but we'll take a look at those together. So let's just dive right into Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I saw this almost 3-hour film last night, 7 p.m. IMAX with the biggest IMAX screen I could find here where I live, and it was, spoiler alert already, spectacular. I was completely riveted and blown away about this film. Just to reveal my biases, Mission Impossible continues to be my favorite action franchise of all time. I don't think anything out there is in its class, especially I kind of felt like that anyway. It was probably vacillating between Mission Impossible and Die Hard and Lethal Weapon, all the way until the third Mission Impossible movie came out, and then it just kept getting better and better and better while those other series got worse and worse. That's the thing about Mission Impossible. It's just so much value you get out of these movies if you commit to these movies long term. They take their time to make them. They're very intentional about the work. It's had a lot of different artists, directors, really putting their stamp on it, but Cruise continues to be the focal point and the pinpoint of these movies, and they're just a good time. I was talking to a friend the other day, and I truly believe that if you look at what Mission Impossible has done over its now 7 films compared to other franchises, I think about Die Hard, how Die Hard kind of fell off a cliff. I think about how Fast and the Furious really nosedive, probably after the 4th or the 5th one, depending on who you believe. And a lot of that is because it seems like there isn't a steady hand that allows and a steady writer to make those movies be great. But Mission Impossible, especially the last 3 movies. First, J.J. Abrams got involved with 3 and 4. Then after J.J. Abrams left, Christopher McQuarrie, who wrote The Usual Suspects in the mid-90s, won an Oscar for that script. He became screenwriter and then eventually the director, starting with Rogue Nation. And you can see the common symbiotic relationship between Cruise, McQuarrie, their Wade Eastwood, and the rest of their stunt team, all the way down the line. And so, let me back up. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. What can you expect? Well, let me give you a little bit of, if this is your entry point into Mission Impossible, which I think that you have to at least have an idea of what happened in the last 2 films, Rogue Nation as well as Fallout, because they're pretty much sequential movies. They started doing some more long-term storytelling, starting with probably Ghost Protocol, but when McQuarrie came in to start directing and writing with Rogue Nation. But the more you know about the series, the richer the experience you're going to have with it. Do you need to see all the movies? No, I think that you would get it, but there's Easter eggs, there's character development, there's deepening development of characters that may fall flat or may seem kind of just might not hit the same way if you haven't been with these characters. That being said, just real quick, all these Mission Impossible movies are on Paramount Plus. If you have not seen any of the Mission Impossibles and you have a Paramount Plus, you have Paramount on your Apple devices, your TVs, whatever. Check them out there. I believe that Netflix has most of them as well. So Netflix, which is a bigger provider, that might be the way to go. Mission Impossible 1 introduces us to this rogue team of people who basically work off the books, only answer to the secretary of the CIA, I believe at the time. They kind of switched up the way these things work, but directly they answer only to the president. IMF stands for what, guys? The Impossible Mission Force, believe it or not. Yes, I know that is very corny. They make fun of it all the time. So, delight in the fun with that too. But these are the people you send in when the CIA, the FBI, the Secret Service. I'm sorry, I lied. Mission Impossible is not on Netflix. I thought it was on Netflix, but it's not. But it definitely is on Paramount Plus. All of them are on Paramount Plus. Check it out there. Biffer the Hobbit is here. Oh, Bifer. Like Lord of the Rings. Well, actually, the Hobbit. Bifer is one of the 7 dwarves, or the 9 dwarves that go on the... Is it 9 dwarves to go on the mission with Bilbo Baggins, or is it more? I haven't read The Hobbit. That's a shame. I should know that. But Bifer is one of the... or Biffer, however you want to say it. That was one of the... anyway, cool name. Cool handle, Biffer the Hobbit. Thank you for joining me today. So... First, we'll introduce you to this world. You get to know Ethan Hunt. It has the most iconic scenes from them stealing the necklace, and you've probably seen Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt elevating into that all-white room. That's one of the greatest parts of cinematic history. You see it all the time. There's also a great train sequence in there, but basically, Ethan Hunt gets double-crossed in this mission, and he's trying to clear his name as well as find the veritable MacGuffin that happens in all these Mission Impossible films. So that's the second one. The first one. The second one is the John Woo directed film, another random MacGuffin. That's probably the one that people say it's not that good, because I think it's because you're comparing it to so many other great films. I think it's decent. I like Mission Impossible 2. It is the weakest one, and probably the most skippable one, but you do get introduced to the third part of the triumvirate, if you will, of the Mission Impossible franchise, and that's Benji, played by Simon Pegg. He comes in Mission Impossible 2. Mission Impossible 3, that's when you have Ethan Hunt, who's hunting this terrorist who is maniacal and terrible. He's probably the greatest villain, at least the most... memorable and frightening villain of all of these movies, including 7. Now when we see part 2, that might change, but I think that what Philip Seymour Hoffman did in that role would really, really blow you away. And that might be the best part to start off, because you really don't need to know about the first or the second one to really get the character dynamics between Benji, Luther, and Ethan, played by Simon Pegg, Vin Rames, and Tom Cruise, respectively. So jump in there. Mission Impossible 4 was the first one directed by J.J. Abrams. This brought Jeremy Renner. It almost seemed like they were trying to give Jeremy Renner the reins for the Mission Impossible films, and that ended up not happening. I think that was the right call to keep it with Tom Cruise, because he's the face of the franchise and everybody loves him, and he didn't die. So what's the point of getting into Jeremy Renner? But anyway, Jeremy Renner is a great part of the team too. But I'll say this, that Mission Impossible 4 makes Ethan and his team go on the run again, but this time it feels a lot more serious than it did the first time in Mission Impossible 1. So him operating off the books, trying to uncover this conspiracy with a similar MacGuffin. Okay, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. That's our 5th movie. This is the first Christopher McQuarrie movie. There is this terrorist organization called the Syndicate that has terrorist cells all over the world, and they're trying to get this bioweapon. is the MacGuffin here. And for anybody that doesn't know, it's a MacGuffin is kind of like this elusive, random thing or person or event that happens in a movie that just kind of pushes the plot along. Like what's the focus? What's the motivation behind a character's action? That type of thing. Well, what are they chasing? Well, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, they're chasing a syndicate. Mission Impossible Fallout's the sixth one. After Rogue Nation and the team takes down that main terrorist, he has all of these kind of like worshippers, basically, who are trying to create some nuclear warheads and kill a lot of people, and he has to stop that. Anyway, it brings us to Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I don't know if I even sold those other ones that well, but I will say this. If you can do a marathon, I've watched 3 of them leading up to 7. I couldn't get through all of them. But if you got some time to watch a marathon, I would say start with Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, and then go into Fallout. So if you have those 3 under your belt, I think that 3 would be nice to have just because it's such a great performance by Philip Seymour Hoffman. And there is a character that's important that comes up later in the other movies. But if you can watch Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, and Fallout before you go see Mission Impossible this weekend. Look, today's Tuesday. That's a movie a day. So tonight, Wednesday, Thursday, then going to Friday to go see Mission Impossible. Or if you want to see 4 movies, 3, 4, 5, 6, you can skip the first 2 and go back to them later. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. What is going on here? Well, there is this algorithm that has become sentient. It's artificial intelligence that has decided to start making decisions on its own. And it is getting inside of pretty much every intelligence organization on the planet. And it has shown that it's able to infiltrate these organizations pretty easily. And it can switch information pretty easily if it wants to. And this entity does not seem to be benevolent, if that makes sense. It's hard to put any type of morality behind a sentient being that we created, but it seems like it's up to no good. And obviously there is this overtone of trying to be a little preachy about AI today and what that can mean for the country, or even, I won't say not to Terminator, because this is much more elusive than what you would think of when you think of like the Terminator franchise. But this thing is serious, and it has already done some damage in this world. I'm not going to allude to what it is, but it does some damage in this world. It has attracted this kind of advocate played by Esai Morales. I'm sorry. No, it's Esai Morales. I think it's just, I'll correct it on my notes here. Esai Morales. And Esai Morales is somebody that Ethan Hunt, played by Tom Cruise, knows from his past. So you have this situation where this entity has employed or has basically conformed this man to do his bidding, and he has something to do with Ethan Hunt's past, even before Ethan Hunt joins the IMF, right? And so Ethan Hunt's impossible mission, if he is to get a key that can possibly control or eliminate the entity. And so his team has tracked down one half of the key held by Rebecca Ferguson's character Elsa, who was also hired by another organization or another national organization to retrieve the key. And pretty much it's a race between Esai Martin's character, the IMF, and then so many other nations to get these keys, because most nations don't want to destroy it. Most nations want to control it, because if you control it, you control the information of the world. This thing is pretty unstoppable. So people think that they can control this technology. Now, where this technology came from, I can't say, but it is dangerous, and people want it in their hands. Ethan has decided that he's going to go rogue, basically, again, and take his team, find the keys, find out what the key opens in terms of how it's going to help stop the entity and destroy it. Now, that's the setup. There's a lot that happens with that setup and with that premise that's going to affect and alter the lives of every single character in this movie more than they've been moved ever before. I mean, there are some really serious things that have some weight to them and some finality to them that's going to happen in the world in general that it's going to shock you. It's going to shake you. It's going to make you want to see the next movie as soon as possible. That's as vague as I can be without giving out any spoilers on that. I do want to talk about the kind of the technical aspects of this movie that I really enjoy. I think that after Fallout, which was incredible for its stunt work and its production design and its focus on practical effects and real stuntmen, and Tom Cruise doing his own stunts and Henry Cavill doing a lot of his stunts and Rebecca Ferguson doing a lot of her stunts. They doubled down on that here. But what they do is they play with the form. Incredible camera work. They cut these scenes and these car chases and these other chases so well. There's an airport scene that you've seen in the trailer where he is trying to catch up to the elusive character played by Haley Atwell. I need to tell you the character's names. I'm sorry. Grace. I'm sorry, I knew that. It just escaped my mind. I just watched it yesterday. I'm going to watch this movie again, by the way. That's how good it is. So Haley Atwell's character, who actually has a piece of the key, they're trying to track her down at this airport, and there's so many shenanigans, so many different things that they're doing in this film with the camera work, with the effects, with it's just a very smart and very clever and very entertaining chase scene. Likewise, you see another chase scene in the car where you have, if I was to juxtapose it to the amazing car chase and bike chase scene we had in Fallout, this one is a lot more campy. It's a lot more comedic. It's almost like we can't up what we did the last time in terms of its seriousness. So let's make it a little bit more playful. Let's have them in these ridiculous scenarios. The camera work is amazing there, but also the playfulness of it. And then you get to so you have a really clever chase scene or action scene or set piece in the airport. You have a pretty a chase scene full of humor. That's also pretty thrilling as well, this car chase scene. And then you have a chase scene, you know that Tom Cruise is going to run. It's on foot where they're trying to catch up to Esai Martin's character of Gabriel. And it is, again, what they're doing is they're using lighting and camera work to make you, it's like the most anxious I can remember feeling outside of Mission Impossible 3. When Philip Seymour Hoffman's character had kidnapped Ethan Hunt's wife. So very anxious anxiety, like you're sweating, you don't know what's going to happen. You're like the longer it takes, the worse you feel like something's going to happen. And again, it's done with really clever camera work over the head shots, over the shoulder shots, really nice tracking shots. Probably none of that stuff really means anything to you guys, but when you see it, you'll know what I mean. They shoot it really tight, so you can't really see much around you. There's a fight scene that happens within that set piece that's very, like, it's probably the most enclosed fight scene I can remember. Really, really cool stuff. And then there's a scene that happens that almost seems like it's right out of a disaster movie on a train. I mean, it's like scary. It's like really frightening. Like, oh my God, this is going to it's like you really believe like everybody's gonna die. It's one of those things. And so their ability to take action in this film and elicit these different feelings of playfulness to anxiety to frustration to fear is very, very good. It's very well done. I can't think of an action movie that was able to play or elicit emotions like that from the action without saying words. There's words being said, but it's the action, it's the camera work. Also, this score. The score, of course, is the Mission Impossible thing, but it has these beating drums that's just beating really hard, and it's just menacing. Like you feel like the beat of the drums are so hard, it's almost deafening. And you know, it's very much so something. D Movie Man is so many great scenes, but that train sequence was definitely the highlight. So D Movie Man is right before the train sequence is the what leads to the train sequence, or what's part of the train sequence is that great action stunt work from Tom Cruise, where he jumps over the mountain into the train. Basically, he's riding the motorcycle and he parachutes off the mountain. That's part of that. But there's some stuff in that train. Is like it really is. It's fearful, right? You continue to get that deepening of character development where you have Luther, which is Vin Rhames' character, continue to be the kind of the wisest guy in the group and the kind of the heart of the group. You feel this anxiety coming from Simon Pegg's character, Benji, where he always seems like he's in over his head, but he always gets things done at the last minute. He kind of reminds me of his character from Star Trek, to be honest with you. There's a little bit of that with his character too. Palm Clementif, who you know as Mantis from the Guardians of the Galaxy and from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, she is just ass-kicking, like terror, like the silent assassin. She's really cool in this movie. There's really not much I can tell you that I didn't enjoy about this film. And probably the thing that really sticks with me and makes me want to watch the next one so bad is that you got to remember the entity is an algorithm. It's a computer, a very sophisticated algorithm that's thinking 5, 10, 15, 20,000 different scenarios of what to do to beat the IMF and beat Ethan Hunt's team. This is not a villain with a face that, or just a man or a woman that Ethan Hunt is going after. It's literally AI that is the most sophisticated AI known to man. And so when you say impossible mission or Mission Impossible, this is really Mission Impossible. This is like, you know, how those great chess champions will go up against an algorithm and computer and have to face these algorithms that have computation logical features that allow them to beat grandmasters, right? Well, if Ethan Hunt is the grandmaster of the spy world, well, he may have met his matcher. They always seem like they're behind, if that makes sense. They're always I can't remember any of the other Mission Impossible movies where they felt like they were behind like this. So anyway, my rating for this movie, I haven't decided yet. I'm going to be writing my review, and you'll be able to see that on BrianKnowsMovies.com probably tomorrow afternoon. I'm going back and forth between 4.5 stars and 5 stars. Again, for my ratings, it's see it, stream it, or skip it. See it is 4 to 5 stars. See it is like it's a good movie. 4.5 stars is a great movie / has potential for award seasons if it's a type of awards type of movie. And 5 is one of the best movies of the year. I try not to give out more than 7 to 10 5s a year. And sometimes I go and reevaluate what I've given 5s before. But so far, I've given a 5 to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I'm sorry, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Past Lives, and I've given a 5 to, I think I've given out like 3 or 4 5s just because, remember I had this conversation a couple of weeks ago, is this going to be one of the best movie years of the past 10 years since it's so chock full of films that we were waiting on because the pandemic either got delayed or what have you. Let's see. John Wick Chapter 4 got 5 star. 1001 got 5 stars. Um, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse has 5 stars, and Past Lives has 5 stars. So I'm already at 4 5-star films this year, which is crazy because it's just July, and usually a lot of those 5-star films comes with the more dramatic pieces that come out in the fall. So I'm not knowing what to expect here. I really can't think. There are some pacing issues, and maybe some of the comedy doesn't land, but I don't know if it's enough to knock half a star off of this movie. So I'm leaning towards 5 stars, but it might be 4.5 stars for me at the end. Either way, I think that it's great. It's definitely one of the best movies I've seen this summer, one of the best movies I've seen this year. I think that also go back to my 5 stars. Some people say 5 stars is like a movie that's going to go down as one of the best movies ever. And I can't do that in the moment. I feel like I need to watch a movie at least 4 or 5 times to really dive into those films before I can say, okay, this is a classic on the level of the original Matrix. We're talking about Keanu Reeves had a 5-star film this year, or a let me just look on my wall here. The Exorcist, or Do the Right Thing, or 2001: A Space Odyssey, or the original Lion King, or Spirited Away. Those are the type of films I think of that are like all-timers, but I need to sit and chew on films for a while. So my rating system is a snapshot of the year as opposed to comparing it from all years past, if that makes sense. So anyway, that's Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. If anybody else has seen that or plans to see that, let me know in the comment section below. I love this film. Check it out. You may not be able to get it in IMAX after this week. I'm not sure what's going to happen. You have both Oppenheimer and Barbie coming out the week after. Oppenheimer is going to get a lot of IMAX screens. There's been an infighting between the studios to keep Mission Impossible in some of these IMAX screens next week, but Oppenheimer is going to dominate a lot of them, and I don't know if Barbie's going to get any of the Prime, if we're talking about AMC, the Prime theaters, or I don't know why it would be in 3D, but I feel like Barbie is something that should have a larger screen as well. I don't know what they're going to do. Mission Impossible may not be something that you can see on the IMAX screen for too long. So, and that's the way you want to see this film. So, see it this week. I'm not even sure if anything else comes out this week, but this needs to take this needs to take precedence of anything else that's come out this week. Or if there's something that you haven't seen yet, I would say see Mission Impossible. It's time to see this film. And it's a film that, I don't know if it's necessarily a date film unless you're both really into action like that. And it's a pretty long film, three hours. But it is a good film to go see with your friends. So check out Mission Impossible. Let's go ahead and go into the next. I want to talk a little bit about the news, which has been kind of slow. I did want to talk about the box office and kind of give you my feelings on a lot of these films because I didn't get a chance to talk about them last week. It's a pretty slow week for the box office in terms of there's no $50-60 million movie this week. Here is where we're sitting. The first release this week was Insidious: The Red Door, $33 million. That's probably what his budget was, if it was that. I thought it was okay. I gave it 3 stars. It's got some jump scares that are okay. Patrick Wilson is amazing, as he always is in these horror films in terms of his acting. I think that he makes really interesting decisions. I think that The Further is lost a lot of its bite. And The Further is the spirit world that they go into. I don't think that the character, the young man who plays the kid that goes into college, I don't think that character worked, and it had to work for this movie to work, and it didn't really. But, it's okay. It's okay for a horror film. It's really short. So, yeah, 3 stars. #1 in the box office. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I didn't get a chance to talk about that last week. It was okay too. I liked Harrison Ford. I liked being in the world of Indy again. It did kind of seem like it was just going from set piece to set piece and was missing a lot of that kind of like witty dialogue that you would want. It shot very well. James Mangold directs this, and he does a lot of James Mangold things, but it's just not. I gave it 3.5 stars, 3.5 out of 5. It was a stream it. For me, Sound of Freedom, I didn't even know what this movie was until I saw that it was #3 in the box office. Apparently, it is a movie about child trafficking, and it is produced by a studio that has Christian background or a Mormon background. So it has some faith-based themes and concepts, and I'm saying this secondhand. I haven't seen the film, but that's why I hear it's got okay reviews for the people who've actually reviewed it. I don't know if I'm going to have time to go see this film. I didn't even know it. Like I said, it wasn't on my radar, but it did make a #3, which for a faith-based film in the middle of the summer with what was going on last week, that's interesting. That's an interesting thing to happen. So they really did a good job of however they marketed. I never saw any marketing materials, but the algorithm probably didn't hit me. That's why. Elemental. Another fine movie. I think I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I think I already talked about Elemental with you guys already. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. See, now I'm thinking I have to put Mission Impossible with a 5-star because they're duking it out right now for best summer blockbuster type movie of the summer. If that makes sense. It's crazy that 3 of my top films of the year, Past Lives, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and the Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 all came out in the summer. It's interesting to me. Okay, Joyride. I like Joyride. Joyride was a good time. The comedy doesn't land for me a lot in the beginning, but it grows some heart. The comedy gets smarter, at least gets better. A lot of these people are not comedic actors, from my understanding, so they have to rely a lot on that director, and they do what they do. It's not as good as No Hard Feelings to me, which is another R-rated comedy that came out this year. Even though it did have more characters to kind of tie into it, it's fine if you have a matinee time or Saturday afternoon. Joyride's a good time. No Hard Feelings is a better time to me, so I would see that over Joyride if you're looking for a comedy and watching a theater. Transformers: Rise of the Beast was okay. Little Mermaid was good. Ruby Gillman was disappointment. Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken. I didn't get a chance to talk about that. I was really interested in this movie. It didn't hit for me. It wasn't for me. I thought the concepts were kind of silly. I thought it takes its audience, which are obviously younger kids, a little insulting of intelligence, I feel like. Or maybe I just don't have the imagination I used to. Anyway, that's the breakdown. We did not have a large box office, but I'm assuming that's going to change when Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible might hit $90 million this year, this weekend. So we'll see if that happens. So I want to take a look at a couple of trailers with you. The first one is going to be, let's start with Napoleon. I have not seen this trailer. Starring Joaquin Phoenix, directed by Ridley Scott. You can see a huge set of extras back there. I don't know if they're CGI or if they're real people, but we'll see once the trailer starts, which is starting right now.
No doubt you'll send the chaos in the streets. We must make an example.
So starting with the French Revolution.
What would you do if this assignment of defense was transferred to you?
I promise you brilliant successes.
It's interesting because they're giving, it seemed like he just kind of looks like a lot of the photos, their videos, or not photos, but the paintings we've seen of Napoleon, that stoic, straight face, not a lot of emotion, which I don't know if that's how he actually was, but it seemed like that's his motivation for the character.
What is your name?
Napoleon.
Has the course of my life just changed? Napoleon.
I'm destined for greatness. But those in power will only see me as a sword.
I suggest you take the throne as a king.
Shall we vote?
What? Okay, when Napoleon is short, he's a short king, I get it. I don't know if I like the way that looks.
This vermin has held the world
The rendering, I mean,
with his egotism and his lack of simple good manners.
then we already see them do that a lot better with The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings movies.
You are just a tiny little brute that is nothing without me.
Oh, that's the girl from Mission Impossible. That's the woman from Mission Impossible.
Against me.
What's the outcome of this if you don't succeed?
Vanessa Kirby.
We are discovered. Good. I'm the first to admit when I make a mistake. I simply never do.
I kind of wish I didn't see that trailer. And the reason I say that is because Napoleon's been one of the movies that's been hyped up a lot. But that trailer just didn't do anything for me. Going back to Mission Impossible, the movie says, I think the best part is how consistent this franchise has been. The fact that it's hard to even choose what's the best because so many are so on point really speaks to its quality. And Michael Davis says Pixar is in trouble. I'm assuming he says Pixar is in trouble because of the Elemental. Maybe? Elemental's doing good numbers. Let me see what Elemental's done so far. Let's go back to that. Because Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken, is not a Pixar film, is it? I thought it was DreamWorks or Illumination or something. It's Universal. Ruby Gillman's Universal. Trying to get the box office mojo. So this is Elemental's third week. I think it's Elemental's third week, June 14th. Yeah, it's its third week. It's made $100 million, basically $111 million domestic, and if I get to international. It's probably at least double that, right? Worldwide, it's made $255 million, and it's just his third week. It'll probably hit $300 million. I don't know the last Pixar film that got over $450 million at the box office worldwide. So I don't think that it's that far removed. Maybe Coco. Coco might have been the last one. I'm not sure. But in terms of quality, I mean, It's the middle of the pack. I think if it came out in the 2010s or the 2000s, that it would be considered just as good. I think the issues with Pixar is that, and we talked about this before, is that they really need to update and take some chances with their animation style, because Illumination, Universal, DreamWorks, and on and on and on, they are doing that. Sony with Across the Spider-Verse, the trailers for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem continue to look better and better. And who's Mutant Mayhem is coming from Paramount. So I know that Seth Rogen had a lot to do with it. I don't know who the animation studio that is behind, or who they licensed to do that, but they really need to update their animation style. And I think that they need to get a little bit. Soul might have been the one that made pretty good money in the box office. They're still making good stuff. They're just not making great stuff. And they had so many banger after banger after banger after banger. Like, it seemed like every movie that they came out with, Toy Story, WALL-E, Up, Ratatouille, you name it, it was just a banger, right? And then they started doing banger. Oh, okay, banger, okay. And now it's more like a lot of okay. That type of thing, which is better than most studios. But while that's been happening, there's been this kind of revolution happening across the animation space coming from these other studios that are either being more playful with their animation style or simplifying their stories a bit so that they can gear more to smaller children, like what Minions does. Shortening their films like Super Mario, so they don't have these super long run times. All those things help, and Pixar just kind of needs to get with the program. But I think they're just too powerful to fail or to be in trouble yet. That's like saying that Warner Brothers is in trouble because their DC lineups haven't taken off. Well, Warner Brothers has over 100 years of existence to lean on. There's a lot of power behind that name still. So they'll be all right. Going back, I have one more trailer I wanted to look at, and that's the Wonka trailer, which also dropped. Wonka dropped today, actually. Have not seen this trailer. This is starring Timothée Chalamet. I don't know who else is in it. I think that Mr. Bean is in this movie. I saw that somewhere, Rowan Atkinson. But let's see what's going on.
I've spent the past 7 years traveling the world perfecting my craft. You see, I'm something of a magician, inventor, and chocolate maker. So quiet up and listen down. Nope, scratch that. Reverse it.
Mr. Wonka, I can see you're a man of great ingenuity.
What are you doing?
I'm making chocolate, of course. How do you like it? Dark, white, nutty, absolutely insane.
Many people have come here to sell chocolate. They've all been crushed by the chocolate cartel. You can't get a shop without selling chocolate, and you can't sell chocolate without a shop.
No daydreaming.
What are we gonna do, Willie?
Huh?
A double hump.
Do you have a pencil and paper?
Uh-huh.
I got an idea.
So it's an origin story.
Easy for you. They're gonna get better.
You promise?
I pinky promise. That's the most solemn vow there is.
Where do we start?
There he is. He's a priest.
It's just weird. What's happening? Who wants a chocolate that makes it fly? Let's find out, shall we? Who's for a hoverjob? Nothing to see here. Just a small group of people defying the laws of gravity.
Keegan-Michael Key. I like the characters in this.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Gallery Gourmet, my name is Willy Wonka. He's good. Too good. Pretty sure I've gained about 150 pounds in the last 2 weeks.
You could change her life, Mr. Wonka. Change all their lives.
Run away!
Every good thing in this world started with a dream. So you hold on to yours.
Here we go, Mama. Mark my words. This is gonna be the greatest chocolate
That was a
show
cool shot.
the world has ever seen. So you're the funny little man who's been following me.
I will have you know that I am a perfectly respectable size for an Oompa Loompa.
An Oompa what now?
Allow me.
Hugh Grant as Oompa.
Oh, I don't think I want
A Oompa Loompa.
I've started dancing now. Once we've started, we can't stop.
So, this is just me. I feel like the original Willy Wonka had a darkness to it that isn't here. And I haven't seen any of the Johnny Depp Willy Wonkas because they just look too silly, and I wasn't a critic fan, so I decided not to watch it, and never went back to it. So, I'll say this based off the trailer. It is a children's movie through and through. They're not going in that dark space, it looks like they did in the original one, even though that was kind of a children's movie too. What is the goal of this film? The goal is to take your children out and reintroduce a character that's beloved by Gen Xers and older millennials who saw Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and even younger millennials that grew up on Johnny Depp. Let's introduce a new generation alpha, if you will, type to this magical imaginary character and tell a story. Timothy Chalamet, he's young, he's easy to look at, he looks kind of like a cartoon anyway in terms of this movie, and they have some fun characters. It'll be good. It'll be good. It'll be good for what it's trying to do. Now I think that Dune is probably gonna be the more critically acclaimed movie that Timothy Chalamet has this year, but the trailer doesn't really make me feel one way or the other. But hey, that's my reaction. Let's go ahead and get you guys out of here. I don't really have anything else. Next week we will be talking about, maybe we'll do some more Mission Impossible stuff. I don't know if I would have had a screener to see Oppenheimer or Barbie yet. If I had, I definitely will go watch that with you. Going back to the comments, Michael Davis says WB is in trouble. I just don't see Warner Bros. Being in trouble. I mean, they're a giant. They're the second biggest next to Disney, right? I think that DC's in trouble. Let's see what all the Warner Brothers properties real quick outside of DC. I think that we put those two together. Warner Brothers Films 2023. So hey, Warner Bros. Has Barbie, they have Wonka, they have The Nun. The Nun is going to make a lot of money because it's a horror movie and people love that franchise. They have Dune. Warner Brothers makes Dune. Dune was huge, made very successful last year. I think they have the Meg 2 comes out. They're doing The Color Purple. Color Purple probably won't make any money, but it'll make a lot of waves come awards season. Evil Dead Rise was pretty successful. Creed 3 was pretty successful this year. Like outside of the DC properties, I think that they've done pretty good. Creed 3 made good money. Shazam didn't. Shazam was terrible. But I said outside DC, The Flash lost money. But Barbie's going to make a lot of money. Meg 2 is going to make decent money. I think Blue Beetle is going to make good money because there's nothing coming out in August. Like, it's like the only that and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is really the only thing out there. Dune Part 2 is going to make gobs of money. Wonka will make money. The Color Purple will do okay. Aquaman will do okay because, well, I don't know if Aquaman's coming out this year still or not. It says December 25th on what I'm looking at. Aquaman is going to do good because people love Jason Momoa. Let's see what they got going on for 2024. So for 2024, they have Godzilla versus Kong. Those movies continue to do well. The Joker movie comes out next year. That's going to do well. Furiosa is going to do amazing. This Lord of the Rings that they're trying to do, the War of the Rohirrim. I don't know what that's going to do. People love Lord of the Rings, though. I think that they're fine. They spend a lot of money on DC, but DC is not their biggest property, though. I guess it's my thing. Like DC, like if I was to look up the how big of a hit DC's been giving them, I just don't think that it's enough to, like, DC's in trouble. I would say DC's in trouble. I can see them selling off DC, or DC that, like, as a subsidiary of Warner Brothers going bankrupt, those types of things. I think that is definitely in trouble. But Warner Brothers is just so big, man. I mean, it's a top 5. I think it's one of the big 5. It's number 2 behind Disney right now. To see Warner Brothers or Universal or Disney or any of these, or Paramount or any of those big companies, even Lionsgate, to see them go under because of any of their properties would be very, very surprising. Their subsidiaries, yes, but them as a company, I don't think Hollywood will let Warner Brothers fall. I don't think Hollywood will allow that to happen. So, yeah. We shall see. They need to leave I'm trying to see if anything else on here really makes me nervous. Those Godzilla films, Godzilla vs. Kong, those films continue to make good money. So, what have they had? Last year, they had the Batman, which did very well in the box office. Really, really well. They've had The Flash is one of the biggest bombs ever. I think they've lost $200 million on that, which is a lot of money, but kind of chump change for Warner Bros. At this point. Shazam lost money, but Shazam wasn't as expensive as some of this other stuff is either. I think, like I said, I think Blue Beetle's going to do numbers. I'm trying to think what other DC films have happened. Them scrapping Batgirl. Let's see. Black Adam was trash and didn't do well. Wonder Woman 1984 lost money. Yeah. Anyway, that's enough of that. That's the show. We're at the 6 o'clock mark. Thank you so much for joining me. We will see you at the theaters next week.